Welcome to WWP Clips. This is the official Clips channel for We Want Picks. We will be uploading our individual fight breakdown videos here, so make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. And as always, go to wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. Next up, at UFC 276, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Alexander Volkanovski taking on Max Holloway for the 27th time. Alexander Volkanovski is 24-1, 5-0 in his last 5, and 11-0 in the UFC. I actually didn't realize he had that many UFC fights and wins, no less, until I started doing all this. Yeah, been around forever.
Been around. Mm-hmm.
Max Holloway is 23-6 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off 2 wins in a row since his last fight with Volkanovski. And listen, I have no doubt that this is going to be a fun fight, especially considering the first two fights were fun, but I don't care about this fight. I've been very vocal about that. I could give a shit about Volkanovski Holloway 3. I want nothing to do with it. Go get Henry Cejudo and the chub he's got going on, drag him in here.
Whoa!
Much rather
rewind that and say that again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What the hell was that?
He's fat. That's
the
where I was
chub.
going with that. Yeah.
And let me piggyback off that. I'm a big Max guy. I also am tired of this fight. I'll be honest with you. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm 1,000% sure I will be very entertained while watching it. I just, no thanks. All right, I don't need to see it again, but we are going to see it again. So let's go ahead and break it down. We got Alexander Volkanovski. He's been the champion for 2.5 years, but he's only fought 3 different people. And he's putting together quite a legacy for himself, though. Alexander's a good striker who has legit speed with his hands and his feet. He uses kicks really well, and he uses his combinations to set up very clean takedowns. He's a short guy, but he doesn't struggle finding the head or getting to the hips. He's very strong, but he doesn't really possess that knockout power. And Max Holloway is an amazing striker. He's very fluid with his movements, and that keeps his volume up and his pressure up. He has the most impressive striking differential on this card at 7-4, and he couples that with an 84% takedown defense and an entire championship career worth of experience. After dropping back-to-back fights of Volkanovski, Holloway has put together 2 impressive wins in a row. First was the absolute destruction of Calvin Kattar, where he landed 447 strikes. And the second was a win over Yair Rodriguez, where he worked in 3 takedowns, which is more in one single fight than we had seen in Max's last 10 fights combined. And before I give my pick, it is a rematch. Let's recap the first 2. Essentially, Alexander Volkanovski won those 2 fights. They were close, but he did win. He landed more strikes in both of them. And in the second one, he worked in 3 takedowns. So while they were close, I personally do think Volkanovski won them. I know a lot of you think Max Holloway won one or both of them. I have to assume this fight is just more of the same. High volume striking with the occasional takedown from Volkanovski to win a decision. The wild card here is going to be Holloway's wrestling. I mentioned he had 3 takedowns in his last fight, and in his 25-fight UFC career, we have never seen him have that many takedowns in a single fight. So I don't know if that's something he's adding to his game, or if it's because he was getting lit up in that Yair Rodriguez fight. Yair Rodriguez poured it on Max Holloway. I was shocked Max didn't get stopped in that fight. I picked him to win, and I was biting my nails the whole time. Max looked like he was absorbing way too much damage, and I think that's starting to catch up to him. So Volkanovski's the pick. I actually think this is going to be the most dominant of their fights. I think Volkanovski blows through Max Holloway here. But if Max Holloway wins, like, Jesus Christ, man, I don't need to see it a 4th time. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I'm almost rooting against Max. I'm a big Max guy, and I think he's going to win this fight, but I'm almost going to be rooting against him too, because I don't want to see it for the 4th time. It is what it is at this point. I agree. I think they should move on from this division. But, I just rewatched it. I was texting you today. I just rewatched that second fight today. And when I left that fight, it felt more like Volkanovski, or pardon me, it felt more like Max Holloway lost that fight more than Volkanovski won that fight. Max dominated the first two rounds, dropped him in each of the first two rounds, dropped him in the first round, dropped him in the second round. Not bad, but, definitely clipped him to where even at the end of the second round, Volkanovski said, like, damn it, like, I'm screwing up here. And I think that those first two rounds were so easy for Max in the striking that he kind of coasted the last three. And there were close rounds. The fourth round was definitely Volkanovski. The third round was close. The fifth round was close. He got takedowns, I think, in the third round and the fifth round. Didn't do anything with the takedowns. Max immediately back to his feet, but I think that's what won him the rounds in the judges' eyes. But the striking, in my mind, throughout the entire fight, except for that fourth round, was all Max. I think he was the pressure fighter. He lost the first fight because he was not able to get the pressure early, and he won the back end, the fourth and the fifth rounds, but he lost the fights. He already had lost the fight by the time he brought that pressure. So he came out that second fight, brought the pressure, was having incredible success on the feet with some good kicks as well. The leg kicks, he was checking those a little bit. Those were obviously an issue in the first fight. I think that overall in the striking, I think Max is the better striker overall, and I know that he calls himself the best boxer in the UFC. First of all, Max Holloway, I'm not going to simp for Max Holloway. He is not the best boxer in the UFC. He gets hit way too much to be the best boxer in the UFC. I think me and you had this conversation. If you're a good boxer, you're good with your head movement, you're good at slipping shots, rolling with shots. Max Holloway will just get hit. I mean, even as he was yelling, I'm the best boxer in UFC, I think Qatar just, boop, like hit him with a jab, like right after he said it. It's like the guy gets hit way too much to make that claim. But I think he's the better striker overall in this match, the more dynamic striker. It seems as though he has a slight power advantage. I know Volkanovski's not really a powerful guy, and Max Holloway has never been knocked down or put out at all, even though he does get hit. This is a tough matchup, and there's a reason why the first two have been close decisions where people are saying this person's getting robbed and this and that. I think this is another one where it's a close decision. Hopefully that Sal D'Amato and Chris Lee are not judges, but I'm sure they'll both be on the judges' scorecards, and we'll see how they see this fight. I'm going to pick Max because I think he comes out with the pressure again and this time does not let off the gas because he won the first two rounds easily, and I think he coasted the last three and just assumed that he would be able to steal one of the last three rounds and win the fight that way. And he paid for it. And I think he comes out aggressive like fight two and finds those rounds and finds the decision. But, if Volk comes out and wins, it wouldn't surprise me at all. It's a close matchup for a reason. It's probably going to go to a decision. I'm not putting any money on this. I don't think. Maybe a little sprinkle for the Max side. We'll see if he becomes lock of the week on Wednesday. But my pick is going to be Max, man.
Yeah, I hear you. And his boxing is interesting because I think his offensive boxing is absolutely incredible. It is the defensive, but his defense is, he gets hit a lot. So when he says, I'm the best boxer in the UFC, that clip, I just saw it today, actually. That clip of him screaming that to the side of the cage while Calvin Qatar's throwing punches and he's avoiding them and yelling, I'm the best boxer in the UFC, and then punching Calvin.
As his face is all swollen and
mangled.
Bloody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's where I was going with that, where it's like, as he's doing that 2-second clip is incredible. And his offense is incredible. His defense
Well, that's what somebody just said.
And
he wasn't even looking at Qatar. Who cares if he got jabbed? If it didn't affect the fight at all, he got hit. He also got hit 100 and some times in that fight. I mean, his face was all busted up. I'm not talking about he's not a good boxer because he got jabbed once. The guy gets hit. You saw that against it in his last fight as well. He gets hit.
Yeah, he gets hit a lot. Yeah, right here is lit him up too. I mean, listen, he gets hit, but his chin is holding up, so it has not been an issue. Anyway, you and I are split on this fight. I do think it's Volkanovski, and I think it's a much wider gap. And let's just look at their last two. Somebody just called you a hater, even though you picked Max.
I picked Max.
You picked him and said you're a giant fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Max, and I mean, it's just ridiculous. I just don't think he's as good as boxer as he says he is. It's very simple.
Anyway, let's look at their fights since their fight, right? Volkanovski, pretty straightforward wins. He did not absorb much damage at all against Brian Ortega, right? He was a little nerve-wracking with the guillotine, but there was no real damage there.
Yeah, and that dropped because he dropped him into that mounted guillotine, but it was more of a slip with a shot. It wasn't like he got flatlined or anything by Ortega. And
then he blew through Korean Zombie. Max Holloway had that fight with Calvin Qatar where he looked great, but he was also lit up. He landed 447. He got hit 160 something. And then that last fight against Yair Rodriguez, which was a nail biter at times. So they have had much different paths in their last 2 fights as well. So somebody said it in the comment section. I completely agree. If these guys fought 3 times in a row, it'd be very different than if you then took Max Holloway and then added all the damage from his last 2 fights on top of it and then brought them back together. So should be a fun fight, as they always are. The last 2 have been, but I like Volkanovski here at $9,000. I'm pretty confident in him there. You like Max Holloway, so $7,200. You know,
he's in my lineup.
Yeah, he doesn't score well, because when I did the DraftKings video, I was like, oh, what does he score in a loss? He does not score well in those losses, but if you think he wins, then he should score well.
And somebody in the chat, asked about the +5.5 for Max Holloway. If you guys aren't familiar, that means he can basically win or lose a decision.
You buy points on the judge's scorecard.
Yeah, he can lose a close decision. 48-47, 48-47, and 49-46. And those are losing scorecards. You win your bet. It's -240. So they're a little ahead of the game. Yeah, they're a little ahead of the game on that.
Yeah, that's not worth it. If you do like that bet, though, weonpicks.com/bets. We have 5 partners. BetOnline is the only partner that lets you buy points or buy rounds, however you want to word it, on the judge's scorecard. Main events and title fights are 5.5 points. Regular fights are 3.5 points. So if you like an underdog to at least do well and win a round or 2, those are always great bets. But yeah, like you said, I mean, this fight has gone to a decision twice already. They think it will again. All the odds are pointing that direction. DraftKings, pick your side. Monkey knife fight. It's probably a more in all reality, as it has been their last 2 fights. But like I said, I think Volkanovski beats him by a wider margin than they did last time. So I don't know if there'll be a stoppage here, but Volkanovski had a lot of success with that grappling in their last fight. I think he works in more. So this may be another more situation. But
he had takedowns, but he didn't do anything with
3 takedowns, yeah.
I know success is like he stole rounds, but it's not like he was holding Max down. Max immediately got to his feet. The takedowns lasted 10 seconds total.
Yeah, but he's okay. But my point is, he had 0 takedowns in the first fight, worked in 3 in the second one, and still outstruck him. I think it's more in monkey knife fight, but there may be a lot more grappling in this one, given that he did have some success last time. You like more or less in this monkey knife fight strike line?
I don't like it at all, Chris.
It's too good of a line. Anyway, you think you know what to do here? Go to weonpicks.com/MKF, and they will instantly match your deposit.